Hey everybody, Chris 70 with 70 Investments, and thank you for having interest in the scope of work and contract agreement templates I put out there. First, big caveat, you should always have an attorney take a look at these documents. These are templates. You feel free to use, modify, edit them, but I cannot take any liability or responsibility for items that may not meet a certain state's requirements, codes, or scope in general. So with that behind us, you know, as a note investor on properties, you may end up having to take a property back. And if you do, and you want to take on the monumental task of renovating, one of the biggest things to do is finding a contractor and getting them under agreement. And most contractors will basically hand you a one-page contract that says, hey, pay $10,000 and give me $7,000 up front and go do the work. And typically, there's no indemnification language in those contracts. They are very one-sided, and they are not looking out for your best interest in any way, shape, or form. So with contracts, you should be the one really initiating a contract. And what I do is I send it to them up front and say, hey, here's kind of my contract, and gladly walk through it. But this isn't anything you're agreeing to that is, out of the ordinary in this sense. The biggest components to any contract is, time, when is it going to be done, scope of work, defining specifically what is going to be done. The more detailed you are, the better off you are. Next is payment. How and when are you paying them? You want to have milestones that, they get to certain milestones in order to pay them. And last is, and again, it's all about protection, is language about, indemnification. If they do something wrong, basically, they need to defend you in that sense. Also, you need to clarify things like permits and many other avenues. So the contract is really kind of the boilerplate of a lot of the corporate level agreements. And the scope of work is really the down and dirty into what it is specifically you want done. And, I usually break things out by either trade or scope. If it's a general contractor, I'll usually break it out by room and just list everything. But if it's, a certain trade, I'll still sometimes list it out by room, but, it's truly dependent on the scope and so forth. But, you take a look at a bedroom. Okay, what do you want in the bedroom? Do you want new shades put up? Do you need new trim? Does it need a new door? How is the flooring? How is the base? How are the electrical outlets? Does it have a HVAC cover? What are the things that go into that room? In more common space areas, there's not as much. Once you get into the kitchens and the bathrooms, that's where it can get real real detailed in the sense. And if you're trying to GC something on your own and hire multiple subs, that's really where you got to be specific. Because as an example, who's performing the caulking around your toilet? Do you have someone else coming, or the plumber is doing it? If you put up a tile backsplash in a countertop and that gets caulked, is your countertop person caulking that joint, or is your tile guy caulking that joint? If you've ever dealt with unions, which I've done in the past, ask who installs a microwave. Is it a carpenter, is it an electrician, or is it an HVAC guy? That's an interesting one. So, don't assume anything. You need to thoroughly think through what it is that needs to be done. And if you're not an expert in construction and really don't know, then I recommend you have a property manager or someone more experienced write this stuff up. Because if you get into a battle, or not a battle, but if you get into a scope where you missed a lot and there are a lot of change orders, your price is going to go up 20, 30, 40%, which can kill the equity you have on the deal. So definitely not for those lighthearted and, not ready to go on the roller coaster ride, because renovations are definitely a roller coaster ride. And I just wanted to provide you with some templates here that you can take a look at and give you more ideas as you finalize any contracts and scope of works you have. Last thing I'll mention, if it's a major renovation type thing, the AIA, it's the American Institute of Architects, have residential contracts that are written by architects that really are well written in regards to a lot of coverage of things. And if your contracts, probably 50,000 plus dollars, that is something I would definitely recommend looking into. Below that, you may not get a contractor to sign it, but you could still try it. They do sell those contracts, which I highly recommend. Even if you don't use it, to buy it, to see what other types of language are in there, because it's pretty extensive and provides a lot of great and valuable information. So, and again, that is AIA, American Institute of Architects, as well. So thank you. And again, click on the link below to get your copy of these templates. Have a good day, everybody.